You can't describe the feeling of being really inside of a monument that has just been discovered and is just literally emerging out of the ground.
2,000 years ago, Rome built the greatest arena the world had ever seen, a colossal monument of stone, spectacle, and power. Today, it lies in ruins. But when Grok AI tried to reconstruct it using modern data, something deeply unsettling emerged.
That it seems to be more fighting outside of the amphitheater than inside of it. It's just a scene of absolute chaos.
Hidden within the structure were traces of knowledge far beyond the ancient Roman civilization, secrets they never intended anyone to see. A construction more advanced than its time. Grok AI is one of the most advanced artificial intelligence systems available today. It works with vast layers of data, LiDAR scans, drone imagery, archaeological maps, and records from hundreds of Roman structures, all at once. With that intelligence applied to the Colosseum, the world could finally see the monument for what it once was. An extraordinary, fully functioning machine designed to operate as a single, connected system. But before AI reveals what has been lost, it's important to truly understand what the Colosseum originally was. Most ancient accounts describe the Colosseum as a place of noise and violence, where staged animal hunts pushed both humans and beasts to their limits, where famous and deadly battles were dramatically recreated, and where large-scale executions unfolded before tens of thousands of eyes. But what those writers never quite explained, or perhaps never understood, was the deeper puzzle behind it all. How a civilization nearly 2,000 years ago designed a structure capable of holding crowds the size of a modern stadium. The numbers alone still surprise historians. When completed, the Colosseum could hold an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 spectators. No other amphitheater of its age came close to matching that capacity. Crowds could enter, take their seats, buy food, watch shows, and exit again with a speed that many later stadiums struggled to equal. But what makes the Colosseum even more striking is how intentionally it was planned. Every corridor, platform, and holding area served a function, not only for the performers, but also for the thousands of workers behind the scenes who made the shows possible. Yet the Colosseum was not just a place for entertainment. There was something deeply political about its design, a warning meant to unsettle every visitor who stood before it, a reminder that Rome had the resources, manpower, and organizational power to shape the world around it. Its oval shape, its precise geometry, and its enormous footprint were a visible declaration of stability and control. Nothing about it was accidental. The pattern of its arches, repeated in perfect rhythm across the outer walls, was proof of Rome's confidence in its engineering traditions. One of the most innovative aspects of the Colosseum was its approach to crowd movement. The structure contained 80 entrances and exits. Spectators could pour in and out through these passageways so efficiently that modern architects often reference the Colosseum when studying historical crowd management. The system was clear and controlled. A person's ticket led them to a specific staircase, a specific corridor, and finally to a seating tier determined by their social status. Senators sat closest to the arena, followed by the equestrian class. Ordinary male citizens filled the next levels. Women were placed higher up, and enslaved people stood in the very top galleries. The building itself was a map of Roman hierarchy, and every visitor could read it with one glance. The Romans deployed their most advanced stage technology for the Colosseum. Its arena floor contained dozens of trapdoors, and beneath them stretched a hidden world of cages, ramps, pulleys, and lifts. From this underground maze, workers could send animals, props, and performers rising into the arena in smooth, controlled motion. This innovation began under Emperor Vespasian around the year 70. He commissioned it as a gift to the Roman people, and as a way to restore public trust after the chaos of Nero's rule. Even the location of this monument carried a message. Nero had once built a private lake here as part of his vast palace complex. By draining it and replacing it with a public amphitheater, Vespasian made his point clear. This land was no longer an emperor's playground. It belonged to Rome. When Vespasian died, the work continued under his son Titus. He completed the project and inaugurated it in the year 80 with 100 days of games. The construction effort behind it was massive. Tens of thousands of enslaved workers took part, along with paid artisans, engineers, and craftsmen. They used a range of materials chosen for strength, weight, and speed of construction. Roman concrete, known as opus caementicium, allowed the builders to form vaults, foundations, and walls with remarkable durability. Travertine limestone formed the outer shell and the main seating tiers. Lighter volcanic stone, known as tuff, shaped inner walls where excess weight would have caused strain. Brick-faced concrete built the corridors and support structures. Iron clamps locked large stone blocks together, while marble framed the entrances and lined the seats reserved for Rome's elite. The Romans also made use of arches and vaults to distribute weight across the structure, giving it the strength needed to support tens of thousands of people at once. They used a modular approach, breaking the project into repeatable units so different teams could work on multiple sections at the same time. For a structure of this scale, completing it in just 8 to 10 years still remains astonishing. The finished structure was just as practical. The outer wall rose in 4 levels. Each level used a different classical style, Doric, Ionic, and then Corinthian at the top. Above them, a massive retractable canopy called the Velarium stretched across portions of the seating. It was operated by experienced sailors from the Roman fleet and provided shade during long events. But for all its influence, the Colosseum we know today is only a fraction of what once stood. But if so much of the Colosseum has vanished, how close can we truly get to understanding its original form? Could AI finally reveal details that have been lost for nearly 2,000 years? The missing parts of the Colosseum. A large portion of the Colosseum's southern outer wall collapsed after a series of earthquakes that struck Rome between the 5th and 14th centuries. 2 quakes, one in the year 847 and another in 1349, did the most damage. The 1349 quake shock hit hardest, tearing away huge sections of stone and leaving the interior exposed. Yet even with these visible breaks, the way the Colosseum handled stress remains a mystery. Engineers today know which areas failed but still struggle to understand the logic behind the structure's strong and weak zones. The Romans built with incredible precision, too advanced for their time. But the exact reasoning behind some of their architectural choices has sadly been lost. Aside from the natural disasters, weather also played a slow, steady role in the Colosseum's ruin. Rain seeped into the limestone, eroding details until edges softened and carvings vanished. Wind also wore down corners, carrying small particles into the air 1 century at a time. Modern pollution accelerated the decay, darkening surfaces and eating into the stone in ways the builders could never have predicted. Layer by layer, the exterior of the Colosseum declined, transforming into what we see today. Fire left its own mark. The Colosseum once held vast amounts of wood, from seating platforms to the flooring above the underground chambers. Lightning strikes and accidental fires destroyed these wooden elements more than once. This left behind weakened supports and scorched surfaces which contributed to the fragmented look that defines the monument today. One of the Colosseum's greatest mysteries is the lifting system that once operated beneath the arena floor. The trapdoors and platforms that once brought animals, fighters, and scenery into view have long lost their wooden components. What remains are stone channels, carved tracks, and subtle clues hinting at how the system might have worked. Archaeologists have studied these markings in detail, piecing together several theories. Yet no one has been able to determine with certainty how the entire mechanism worked. The absence of blueprints has made the puzzle even harder. The Romans left no complete diagrams, official measurements, or architectural drawings to guide modern researchers through the Colosseum's layout. Written accounts describe events, not construction plans. Even today, efforts to explore the structure face limitations. Some areas are too fragile to enter, and certain chambers have shifted over time, making accurate measurement difficult. The result is a monument studied for centuries, yet still shrouded in mystery. Perhaps the most unsettling damage the Colosseum has suffered came from the hands of humans. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the once magnificent arena was abandoned. Its stones were loosened, and its walls were left to weather and crumble. To make matters worse, during the Middle Ages, people began removing high-quality building materials from the structure. Marble seats disappeared first. Iron clamps holding stones together were pried out and reused, leaving holes that are still visible today. Travertine blocks were also taken and repurposed in new structures across Rome. Even St. Peter's Basilica contains material originally lifted from the Colosseum's outer ring. Apart from being looted, the building also changed roles over the centuries, depending on who controlled it. During the 12th century, powerful families such as the Frangipani and Annibaldi converted parts of the structure into a fortress. They built walls inside the amphitheater, turning areas meant for crowds into defensive spaces. In the 15th century, Pope Alexander VI allowed the Colosseum to be used as a quarry, and workers removed more stone for new projects around the city. Later, entire households moved into the ruins. Workshops, storage rooms, stables, and small homes filled what once had been corridors for spectators. The monument became a neighborhood, its original identity blurred by everyday use. By the 18th century, the structure took on a new meaning. Popes declared it a sacred site in honor of Christian martyrs believed to have died there. This designation halted further destruction, and the Colosseum finally stopped shrinking. In the 19th and 20th centuries, renewed archaeological interest finally brought restoration efforts. Engineers tried to reinforce walls, clear debris, and stabilize parts of the outer ring to prevent further collapse. As a matter of fact, major conservation work continued into the 1990s, shaping the version of the monument millions of visitors see today. Yet even with all these efforts, the Colosseum remains incomplete and has left behind unanswered questions. How exactly did the arena floor operate when every moving part was in place? How did the builders distribute force so effectively that parts of the structure remain stable even after so many earthquakes? What Grok AI could reveal. In 2025, a comprehensive 2-year scanning project led by the Colosseum Archaeological Park produced the first complete 3-dimensional model of the ancient amphitheater. Using heritage building information modeling, the team created a single, updatable database that integrates geometry, materials, and structural information. This digital system allows researchers to measure, monitor, and analyze the monument in a unified environment, providing a detailed understanding of its shape, condition, and how it evolves over time. Experts can finally track cracks as they grow and compare how different sections respond to weather. They could also plan restoration work with a level of precision that was never possible in the past. And for any advanced AI, including Grok, this model is a foundation. It's a clear map of what still exists, what has disappeared, and what is ready to be explored in ways traditional research could never achieve. One of the first things Grok could clarify is the pattern of breaks across the building. Today, the Colosseum looks uneven, almost as if one side aged faster than the other. It turns out there's a clear reason for this. The northern half of the monument rests on firm ground, while the southern side once lay over softer soil near Nero's drained lake. Over time, this uneven foundation made the structure more vulnerable to collapse. Engineers know the general cause, but digital reconstruction could help them visualize in striking detail how the stress spreads through specific arches and walls. This revelation could guide modern preservation, helping specialists reinforce fragile areas with a level of accuracy that has never been possible. One of the most striking areas where a digital model can make a difference is the hypogem. This underground system once controlled every event that took place in the arena. Grok could study what's left of the spacing, grooves, and attachment points, then compare them to similar mechanisms across the Roman world. With that knowledge, perhaps it could create working simulations of elevators, trapdoors, and pulley systems. Engineers could then use them to build physical replicas for museums or research centers, showing how performers and animals once rose into the arena with smooth timing. Another crucial area for digital reconstruction is the velarium, the giant awning that once shaded thousands of people. How this system worked perfectly remains a mystery to date. Grok could map wind direction, anchor points, and load distribution to recreate the awning as a functioning structure. But beyond reviving a lost feature, this kind of work has modern value. Engineers studying open-air stadiums could learn from a first-century solution that managed heat and airflow without machinery or electricity. Crowd movement is another area where AI can do more than describe. With the Colosseum's corridors scanned and measured, Grok could simulate how more than 50,000 people entered, exited, and navigated the space. Modern stadium planners can compare Roman traffic flow to current systems and study why certain ancient methods still outperform contemporary ones. Perhaps the most overlooked element of the Colosseum is its sound. The open arena once carried voices, music, and crowd noise without modern technology, in ways that shaped the atmosphere of every event. Grok could examine the curvature of the walls, the materials once used on the seating tiers, and the height of the original floor to simulate how sound traveled. With this model, historians could finally understand the audio environment of ancient Rome, while modern acousticians could study the solutions to echoes and amplification. To most visitors, the Colosseum appears as bare stone. But the truth is, the monument once held colors, decorations, and textures that are still a mystery to date. Grok could combine pigment analysis, historical references, and comparisons with other Roman sites to recreate the building's original appearance. Museums could use these models in exhibitions, allowing people to step into a version of the Colosseum that feels closer to what Romans actually saw. Even the building materials themselves hold questions. Roman concrete behaves in ways that modern concrete does not. It resists cracking, heals slowly over time, and survives underwater. If scientists could study the chemical processes that give Roman concrete its strength, the benefits would reach far beyond archaeology. What sets Grok apart from other AIs is its focus on reasoning rather than simple pattern matching. It can weigh conflicting data, recognize missing links, and build models that account for limits in the evidence. Because it keeps track of context, it can merge ancient texts, scanned measurements, and archaeological reports without losing the thread. Its ability to run simulations means it can test theories, and if a proposed reconstruction does not fit the physical data, Grok can adjust the model until every piece aligns. But the biggest mystery surrounding the Colosseum remains the early naval battles held inside the arena and how the Romans managed water flow on such a massive scale. If Grok is able to solve any single puzzle completely, it may be this one. The mystery of naval battles in the Colosseum. Among all the stories attached to the Colosseum, none carries more uncertainty than the reports of naval battles once staged inside it. These events, known as Naval, were meant to recreate famous sea encounters and give the audience a direct look at warfare on water. Ancient writers describe ships, sailors, and sometimes even gladiators fighting on a flooded arena floor. The idea alone feels almost impossible. Yet the sources are clear enough to suggest that something like this did happen during the monument's earliest years. These battles were not everyday spectacles. They belonged to the realm of celebration, meant to show the reach of Rome's engineering power. In a city already known for aqueducts, fountains, and massive public works, flooding an amphitheater would have been another way to demonstrate control over nature itself. For the early emperors, it was a statement. If Rome could command rivers and water channels at will, it could command anything. The audience saw ships where they expected sand. They saw water rise in a place built for combat. But the technique behind this transformation is where the puzzle begins. For the arena to hold water, engineers needed a steady supply from nearby aqueducts. The Colosseum sat close to Rome's central water network, and it is likely that channels were diverted into the structure during specific events. These channels would have filled the basin evenly, covering the lower level in enough water to support small boats. Nothing about the process would have been simple. The volume of water required to create a believable battlefield was enormous, and the flow had to be controlled with precision to prevent structural damage. Another challenge would have been drainage. Once a battle ended, the arena needed to return to dry ground. Scholars believe a set of underground tunnels carried the water away, likely directing it back toward the Tiber River. These channels relied on gravity, not pumps, which means the process would have been slow, taking many hours or even days. Researchers believe the design of the arena floor played a key role in the success of these events. During the Colosseum's earliest years, there was no permanent hypogeum beneath the sand. Without that complex network of corridors, cages, and machinery, the space beneath the stage was open enough to hold water. Once the hypogeum was added under later emperors, full flooding became impossible. The floor now needed to support heavy platforms, elevators, and elaborate staging equipment. Water would have damaged the carpentry and stonework, and the entire underground network would have been unusable. This timeline explains why naval battles appear only in the earliest historical accounts and vanish by the time later writers describe the amphitheater. Scholars now believe that the Naumachii likely took place just once or twice, during the late 1st century. Inaugurations and major celebrations were likely the occasions for these rare events. Researchers also believe that full-sized warships would not have fit inside the arena. The vessels described in ancient accounts must have been smaller, perhaps scaled-down versions of Roman ships built specifically for the performance. They were large enough to carry trained fighters and create the impression of maritime conflict, but small enough to maneuver in a constrained space. Despite the surviving descriptions, much about these events remains uncertain. Archaeological evidence for large-scale flooding is limited. The hypogeum, as it exists today, covers the ground where the early basin once stood, making it difficult to trace the original channels. What remains are hints, carved drains, traces of early flooring, and the written accounts that describe water spreading across the arena. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the videos on your screen. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.